We believe in the resurrection of the dead. We believe that the 20 million black people in America in the last days will be taught the truth. The trumpet of truth will sound in your ear. As it's being sounded today, the trumpet of truth. And this truth strikes your ear and strikes your heart. It'll open your eyes. It'll open your ears. It'll make you stand up. It'll do the same thing for you that truth did for the dry bones in the valley. Because the picture of dry bones in the valley is talking about you. The picture of Lazarus laying dead 4 days is talking about you. You are Lazarus. You are the dry bones. You are the prodigal son. You are the lost sheep. You are the people about whom the Bible is speaking, who will stand up in the last day when the trumpet is sounded. Black people are waking up. Black people are standing up. Black people are rising up, and they're throwing back. We believe we are the people of God's choice. That's what we believe. We believe we're the chosen people. We don't believe Jews are the chosen people. We don't believe Jews are the ones going to the promised land. We don't think Jews are a part of God. No, Jews are nothing but another part of that same race of devils that come out of Europe. They didn't even come out of the Holy Land. They come out of the caves of Europe. Furthermore, we believe we are the people of God's choice. As it is written that God would choose the rejected and despised. And we can find no other person fitting this description in these last days more than the so-called Negroes in America. We believe in the resurrection of the righteous. We believe in the judgment. We believe this first judgment will take place as God revealed right here in America. Right. The judgment will take place in America. The resurrection will take place in America. The judgment will take place in America. The separation will take place in America. And the destruction will take place in America. Doom will take place in America. Doomsday will take place right here. This is the place the Bible is talking about. When the Bible mentions Babylon, it means America. When the Bible mentions Sodom and Gomorrah, that's America. When the Bible mentions Egypt, that's America. This is Rome. This is Babylon. This is that wicked kingdom that God is going to come and set flame to in the last day. And you're living in that day right now. And I'm glad.
This is Pastor Lucifer Lambew of Lampshades Ministries. Wishing you a wonderful evening. I hope you had a wonderful Passover here in America. I'm going to be going over the 3 coming calamities to the U.S. 3 coming calamities. Now, these 3 calamities I'm going to go over are imminent, and they will take place in our lifetime. You better believe it. We set it out in the streets, and as you can see in the footage, there were a lot of individuals that couldn't deal with the information, but we're going to bring it to you exclusively here on our Lampshades network, so that when it happens, you can say that you at least knew they were coming beforehand. The first calamity I'm going to talk about is the fall of the dollar. But before I get into that, I also want to say to our viewers, you may notice a different apparel this season. Praise be the Lord, and that's because we're coming out in our Hebrew Israelite apparel, and the tenor of the message is for the yet still asleep Hebrews currently in this country, the blacks, the Hispanics, and the Native Americans. You are the 12 tribes of Israel. You are the people that the Most High God, Yahweh, talks about when he says that you are the apple of his eye, and his holy inheritance of all the nations to whom he has. It is only the Israelites who know the Lord and who the Lord knows. We are his inheritance, and it is high time that we turn back to the Most High and follow his laws, his commandments, and his statutes. Because without turning back in righteousness, following those laws, statutes, and commandments, the Most High won't be able to forgive us and empower us and bring about the fullness of his inheritance for each and every one of us. Praise be, y'all. So, let me just go ahead and get into it then. The first coming calamity that's going to hit the U.S. is the fall of the dollar. You know, you have people every single day spending their time watching, you know, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, or watching, you know, Emmy Awards or Beyonce on television and all this other stuff. But the news media and the media aren't showing the people what they need. They're not showing the people what the people need to see, what the people would want to see if they knew the truth. And that is the fall of the dollar. You see, the dollar is supposed to be backed up by gold. All right? It doesn't matter whether you have $1 in your pocket, $100 or $1,000, $1 million. Those dollars are supposed to have a gold equivalent. You know? But then when they were interviewed and they were asked, you know, how much gold's in the U.S. Treasury, you know, the Fed folks had the nerve to say that there was no gold in the U.S. Treasury, that America doesn't deal in gold. Well, if the American government don't have gold to back up their dollar, then how is the dollar valuable? It turns into a worthless piece of paper. Doesn't matter how many hundreds you have on, how many zeros. If it's not backed up by gold, which is the only real currency that the other nations of the world are beginning to accept, then it's worthless. No matter how many zeros it has, it returns back to a piece of paper worth only the amount it takes to wipe your butt, like the very toilet tissue that you flush every day. So, fall of the dollar. All right. Now, for all those who say, well, America is the richest country in the world, the only people who believe that America is the richest country in the world is Americans. Because if we truly was the richest country in the world, we wouldn't be printing our money. Trillions and trillions of printed, worthless paper. You see, they can't print gold. They can't mass produce gold. If the Edomites and the world powers knew how to mass produce gold, they would have a long time ago. But see, they can't mass produce gold in a laboratory like they can create, you know, false diamonds and so forth. You know. So what they do is they create a system based on something called the fiat system that's made to represent gold, but when the chips are down and they need a little more money or a little more currency, they can just print as much paper as they want. And through the printing of the paper, they have their economic buck to go and buy things and do things and whatnot. Well, the rest of the world is woken up to the printing press of the United States of America. China's making deals all around the world with all the nations, several different nations of the world. Everybody but the U.S. Now they're making deals that don't facilitate the use of the dollar. Trade deals that has nothing to do with the American buck. So what that means for the Americans, praise be to God, what does that mean for you? That means that you know, the American dollar is no longer going to be the default currency of the world. And the world will once again go back into trading a form of money that's representative of gold and silver, both of which the American government don't have under their control. They don't have it. It's not available. All they got, if you want to pay for your car, all they got for you is some toilet paper with some print on it of $100, $200, a couple of zeros, toilet paper that you use, and now they got it in a printing press, and now all of a sudden it's currency, it's money. Well, the world has enough toilet paper, and they're not interested in getting more, buying more with real commodities like, you know, oil and gold and silver and real things of value for America's worthless paper. All right. So when the dollar collapsed, which it is imminent that it will collapse, all right, do you think the other countries of the world, how they trade with us and what? See, America don't make hardly nothing. All right, you got the auto industry, but it's kind of hard for you to say that they're actually making money for the average day American when it took trillions of dollars to bail them out. So we've basically, the American taxpayer has given the auto industry trillions of dollars of investment, and what do we get for our investment? Do they give a little check to the individual American who paid that those $1 trillion tabs for the auto industry every month to show return on our investment? Do the average day American, whom all that tax money was stolen from us, do we get a return on our investment? Can we see how it is beneficial to us? No. That money just went up in smoke. It lined the pockets of some rich, elitist bureaucrat. And all we were given was, this is necessary in order to save the economy. While the debt ceiling continues to rise, and $1 trillion upon $1 trillion upon $1 trillion, that it would take us several lifetimes to ever even really count, is being dropped on the American people from individuals who are printing money like it's no tomorrow. Now you would think that if America could print money, and if the world believed it for as long as they did, which was a couple of years, whatever, they could print money, that the money that they was printing would actually go against the interest that's compiling on the debt that we have. But no. They print money for the auto industry. They print money for the bailout of the banks, which, both of those people were corrupt and caused the very situation to which they then said, we need to get bailed out. When poor people or middle class people steal money and they're caught, they go to jail. When the rich and the super rich and the elite steal money, play it recklessly and lose it, well, they get bailed out. They get poor people to pay their tab. We take the hit, and they're laughing all the way to the bank. So, these other countries, this stuff isn't hidden information. Pray be the Lord. We're out there on the streets telling people about this stuff, and you got a gentleman, which you've seen, and maybe we'll show that footage again, trying to debate with me about the validity of why I should be telling the American people the truth. The truth. Oh, don't say anything about the collapse of the dollar. That's taboo. We're not supposed to talk about that. We're all Americans. We're supposed to be smiling to the poorhouse. We're supposed to be smiling to the guillotines and the internment camps. FEMA camps. Did I say internment camps? Kind of hard to figure out which one's which nowadays. Now, is it? But that's later on. So we're on the collapse of the dollar. And the other countries know that our dollar isn't backed up in any substantial way with actual gold. They can't redeem those dollars for gold. And they know that the other nations are no longer interested in more toilet paper. Fiat money. The American dollar. So they're making trade deals that's subverting the American dollar. That's avoiding it like the plague. And that's going to mean that Americans without that fiat dollar is not going to be able to buy and purchase, you know, the multitude of things that Americans love to purchase. Those big screen TVs from Mitsubishi, those cars, the latest video game. We're not going to be able to purchase that stuff because they're going to say, well, where's the gold? And then we're going to go, well, we don't got gold. All we got is a piece of paper. And they're going to say, well, you know, I got enough toilet paper. I'm not interested. Now either you guys are going to learn how to build something that we're actually interested in, or you're going to go somewhere else, because the international community is not going to be interested very much longer on dealing with Americans. See, the only body who thinks that America is the richest nation in the world nowadays is the confused, blinded, veiled, you know, doped up, drugged out Americans that still believe that a piece of paper with no gold backing and a printing press makes them rich. And they want to be mad at you for telling them the truth, for having the fortitude, praise be the Lord, to prophesy a hard truth that is the truth, rather than smooth words that are nothing but lies that's just going to lead you right to the gates of hell. Now you may say, you know, there, well, you're pretty spirited there, Lucifer, Lambew, and we were not really used to seeing you so spirited. You're going to be spirited too when you look in your wallet and all you find is a bunch of dust. When you go to your bank and they won't let you in because the government has seized all your assets, because they're stealing continually from the American people to pay their debts. Let me put it out even more clear for you. If you owe somebody $30 million and that $30 million accrues on a baby, I don't know, maybe $1 million in interest a month or a year, fine, a year, but you only make $60,000 a month, you're broke. I don't care if you make $120,000. I don't care if you make $200,000 a month, a year. You're broke. If you don't make enough to even pay off that interest, we're not even talking about the principal. We're not even talking about what you actually owe, not just some fuddy-duddy interest that they just calculate in order to charge you from stealing from you. You know, it's our money. But because they print it for us, they got to charge us interest on every dollar that they print. And then every single time we interchange that dollar, there's more interest that's accrued. It's a Ponzi scheme. It's a sham. But yet, you won't hear the today's hot economists on NBC, CBN, and all the major networks saying that. They're telling you, oh, the dollar's strengthening, or they're telling you, oh, the economy's recovering. How is the economy covering when the country as a whole is going deeper and deeper in debt? When trillions upon trillions upon trillions, last time I looked at it was like 14 trillion. I don't know what it is today. But I know it's more and not less. When we're spending all of our time and our effort, we're not even really paying off on the interest, let alone the principal, let alone what we actually owe. And the system isn't made for us to pay off on it. The system is made for us as a country to have an open door pocketbook to buy stuff on credit, and eventually those chickens are going to come home. And eventually those creditors are going to want their money. What's that called? I can give you a phrase that you probably haven't heard before, or if you heard it, you probably didn't understand what it was. Economic slavery. So for anybody in this country who don't think that there's slavery in this country, well, surprise, surprise. The blacks wasn't the only one going through it. You guys are going through it too. It's called economic slavery. If you owe more than you make, if you can't pay even the interest of what you owe, if there is no way for you to ever pay back that debt, then whoever owns that debt vis-a-vis owns you. You are now their economic slave. Except back in the slave days with our people, where, you know, the Edomite, the white man, the so-called white man, you know, they had to take care of our food, they had to take care of our clothing and our living arrangements. Now, this economic slavery, you guys can take care of that stuff yourself just as long as you report to your slave master. Now, which is money. And the person who prints the money is the one that has your debt. The one who has your debt is your slave master. That's economic slavery, more or less. Now, let me go ahead and go into the past for some of you individuals who don't know where it started from, where the theology started from. It started right in this book, the Bible. I'll tell you a little story, a real quick story. Story is about Egypt. The first time that the first Egypt that the Israelites were in, with Joseph. Joseph was the son of Israel, or Jacob was his name before, and he was sold into slavery from the other 12 tribes of Israel, his brothers. Reuben, Levi, all those guys. All right. And when he's around 30 years old, it so came to pass that he became the leader of Egypt. He was second only to the Pharaoh. All right, and the Pharaoh was basically had been given a dream about 7 years of harvest and 7 years of famine, and we're gonna talk about the 7 years of famine, because during the 7 years of famine, to whereas Jacob was suffering, the 12 tribes of Israel were suffering, and the whole region was suffering for lack of food. And Joseph, basically, because God had given Pharaoh a dream about this, and Joseph had basically translated that dream for him, he had it set up to where they had all the grain and so forth, food for the nations, and the nations would come and give them real goods, gold, silver, whatever, real goods for the grain that they would have, they would provide, because they stored up during the years of plenty. Now, when the other nations, or when the Egyptians and so forth ran out of money, all right, they had nothing more to barter with them. So Joseph said, what? Why don't you go ahead and give the Pharaoh your land? And by giving them your land, you could go ahead and then get this grain that you need in order to eat. All right. Now, as far as the Egyptians and the other people in the region was concerned, hey, we don't need this land if we're starving. What good is dying in our own land when we can deal with that by simply selling our land and therefore having food to eat? It's funny when you have to make decisions based on the needs of your children, what you're willing to give up when it comes to being able to put a little more food and water into your child's mouth. So they were willing to give up their land. Well, no duh. Who wouldn't give up a piece of land when it came to the lives of their own children? So they gave up that land. Now it came to pass that, they ran out of the food again. Now they had no more land, and they was like, well, what are we going to do? So Joseph, an Israelite, one of our people, he creates a plan that the people who need the grain, who no longer have money, and they know are things to trade, they no longer have land, such commodities or anything, they can't offer nothing. Now all they have left to do is offer their very bodies. So they offer themselves, they sell themselves, so to speak, to the Pharaoh. And the Pharaoh, of course, graciously gives them grain and whatnot. But now they've sold themselves to the Pharaoh, and every year after that, when the famine was over, they would give a percentage of their produce to the Pharaoh because he owned them. Hence the beginning of one of the first economic slavery. And that's the same thing they're doing today with 14 or more $1 trillion debt that we can't pay back. We can't pay it back in money, They've given the land of America. Don't think America's still owned by the people of this country. And they still can't pay back the debt. China, all those other countries own more places in America than we do. Or not we, because praise the Lord, I'm black Hebrew. I don't own no land. Than the so-called white man in this country. All right? So when they had no more money, because we're in 14 or more $trillion debt, so there ain't enough money. You can't print enough money to even pay on the interest of that debt. When they ran out of land, there ain't enough land in the 51 or how many states to give to pay off that debt. So they sold their people, you all, a percentage of everything that you do, a percentage of every dollar that you make is thou given tribute, not even towards the debt, not even towards the principal, just given away. And you say, how is this possible? Well, I guess you call it nowadays paying your taxes. But in reality, it's just paying off. It's not even paying off anything. It's just giving tribute to your slave masters, your economic slave masters. And if you don't think that they came to collect, did you just forget a few minutes ago when we went over the bank bailout and the automotive bailouts? When they asked Bernanke or whatever that puppet was where the money went, the guy said, to some banks here or there. Was anybody watching that? And they pressed him further. Well, where did the money go? Well, I don't know where it went. Now, how is it that trillions of dollars is going to these organizations and no one knows where the money goes? That's because our economic slave masters hit the bucket and decided to buke the American people for a little injection of our debt, of their owings to them, for a little bit of their greed, satisfy a little bit of their greed, a little of their hunger, a little bit of their power play. Hey, you guys got a new president. Let me go ahead and show you guys that he's really on our payroll and works for us, the super elite, not the American public. I mean, think about it. He said that the deficit was going to be cut in half, and it's tripling. And every projection they're making to where it's supposed to be a good projection, it happens to be at least 15 years out. 15 years out before you'll see that what they're saying is lies. 15 years is going to take you. While they're planning and plotting their next course of action. So let's go ahead and go to U.S. calamity number 2. U.S. calamity number 2 is the drastic militarization of the police force. Of course, the end of Canatanis, habeas corpus. Well, basically, the law that said that the military can't perform operations in America. And we're seeing military operations all across America, from Black Hawk Downs to actual troops on the streets, taking people's guns in some areas, claiming that they're providing relief when in reality they're not there at your doorstep with food and water and things to help you and your family survive during these tragedies. They're using these calamities, to just take your weapons. So you're starving in your house now, and these military people show up, guns pointed at you, and they're demanding your guns. But they're not giving you a drink of water and some food, and they call this a relief effort. And the American public is buying this because, of course, they say it's national security and they're just there to protect you. So that means it's okay for them to point a gun at you, insist on taking your weapons, which is your Second Amendment right, one of your civil liberties here. And no one's they don't expect anybody to say anything. That gentleman who came against what we were preaching out there on a street corner, don't like the idea that we're going to tell the American people the truth. You know, pray to the Lord, if you're not a man of God and you don't know where you're going, and you don't know that you're the children of Israel and the beloved inheritance of the Lord, then yeah, I guess you would shut your mouth and, you know, and walk a straight path and not say anything, because you're going to be worried about that number 2 calamity that's coming to the U.S. And that's the militarization of our police force. They are buying millions and millions and billions of bullets. And that's not debatable. That's a fact. That's like documented. You can check out YouTube and see that. They're buying billions. They're buying more bullets and ammunition than they used in like the last 3 or 4 major wars. Why is that? Why do you think that is? They're buying a bullet for every man, woman, and child in this country. For every man, woman, and child. And they say, oh, we're just buying them for target practice. But these are hollow point bullets that they're buying. These bullets expand, explode in its targets. You don't buy that for practice. You buy that to kill. And on the second hand of this second calamity, they're also getting a bunch of these plastic or whatever mobile coffins by the hundreds and thousands, by the millions. So let's put 1 and 1 together, class. See if we can come up with 4, with some numbers here. You got billions of bullets being bought, ammunition, rounds, hollow points, things that kill people. And you got 100,000 millions of mobile, transportable coffins being bought, stored, and hidden out of the plain view of the public. Now, if you look at the first calamity, which is the fall of the dollar that I've already talked about, and you have to realize that when that dollar falls and the American people finally see what it is that, you know, all these people of the Most High is talking about, when you finally see it, you're going to be pretty upset. For all those viewers who say, oh, Lucifer, you're more passionate today than we've seen you in a while. I mean, you even seem kind of upset. Well, you're going to be pretty upset too when you open up your wallet and there's nothing but dust inside. When you go home with your family and your wife is telling you, I'm sorry, husband, there's no food to cook, there's no food to eat because the food's all gone. When you go to your job and there's a pink slip and you can't go to work anymore, then you're going to be spirited and righteously angry, I'm sure. But then that's when phase number 2, calamity number 2, those police officers with those millions of rounds of ammunition are standing behind you, and they're not there to talk to you, and they're not there to, you know, convince you, reason with you, or debate you. They're just going to shoot you. They're going to blow you away with one of those bullets that they bought just for you. $14 trillion debt, and that's when I last looked. Who knows what it is now? And yet they're rich enough to buy billions, millions of ammunition, more than they have in the last 3 or so wars. They're printing money that's worthless, but they're making sure that the last few countries that still buy their paper is sending them ammunition and gear to militarize their police officers. You know, it used to be back in the day that police officers were from the community, you know, average day Joes who kept the peace in their own community, hence peace officers, you know. But now they're beholden to the state, you know. They're militarized. They're being fed all this information. They're not interested in doing anything other than whatever the mandate that the government brings down. Christians, they're terrorists, sure. Shoot them. Shoot them all. Average day Joe who doesn't like what the government is doing, is talking in the streets about the government, take him down too. Thought police, Gestapo, Oh, it's already here in America. But you'll never see that on the elite-controlled NBC, CBS. You'll never see that on the media. The things that they should be talking about, you're not going to watch that. You're going to watch, you know, some diddy bopper shows. You're going to watch Beyonce showing her cleavage off. You're going to watch Justin Bieber being Justin Bieber. You're going to watch these stars that are here and being paid top dollar to do nothing else but keep you doped up, controlled, you know, distracted, and otherwise engaged while your dollar drops and the police are prepared for the day that you wake up and realize that you're broke, that you've been broke, and that you're going to be broke, you know, that they can go ahead with their bullets and shoot you down. Because there will be civil unrest in America. And it ain't going to be, don't even get this flowery thought, yeah, there could be civil unrest. We're going to have a second revolution. Well, sorry. Number one, they're ready for that. While you're asleep or watching your daytime television, while you're watching your football games, they're militarizing their police. They're buying tanks for their police. They're getting drones, unmanned drones for their police. They're buying exploding bullets for their police. And they're training their police military Gestapo tactics. And what a citizen of America won't do, well, they're preparing foreign troops to come and even do that, just to make sure that there's going to be somebody behind that trigger ready to put a bullet in an American citizen who is probably unarmed because they've already, or their first plan is to take all the guns. So that's the coming calamity number 2. And you can see how these two calamities are kind of like going together, strangely. Now, calamity number 3, World War III. Another thing you won't see on mainstream media. Praise the Lord. Not that this is non-mainstream media. I'm just, praise the Lord, we're just pastors telling the people the truth. You know, giving visions and understanding from the Most High in order to translate that. You see, it used to be where you could go to your pastors to hear, you know, the truth that wasn't being taught in the schools and wasn't being told in the media. But now the pastors are in line with the very people that want this new world order, the very people that's been stealing continually from us and have been buying the bullets and getting prepared to put them in us. Another thing they're not telling you about on the mainstream media, you know, it used to be where you can go to the churches and they would have the guts and they would have the fortitude and they would have the religious right to tell you the stuff that the government and the media won't tell you, the stuff that's true and that you need to know. Civil rights movement, where they were organized by churches, you know, slavery was overrun, and you know, and civil war. Well, those blacks that fought in that civil war, they were religious people. People who had a conviction from the Most High in the sense that that life wasn't what they wanted. They were willing to put their lives on the line in order to create the social change that prevented that type of system in its form from continuing. But I speak to you the truth. There is still slavery in this country. It's economic slavery that affects each and every one of you, whether you be an Israelite or not. That affects Americans. That's because you're broke, you've been broke, and you're going to be broke, and you're still printing money as if you're not broke, and the money that you're printing ain't even going towards your debt or even the interest, for that matter of fact, because it's not really meant for you to pay it off. That's your slavery, economically. There's even physical slavery for the Israelites, and that physical slavery is the judicial system. 89% of the people in prison are black and Hispanic, making those license plates for those cars and the other goods that they create that they don't get paid for because some elite whoever the owners of those prisons are making millions of dollars off of them, and they're not getting a dime of it. Well, there's your slavery today. If you want to find out where an exact slave is today, and then you got mental slavery. Many of our people are still walking around here beholden to the Edomite, to the very person that put us in chains. But of course, again, back to World War III. See, China holds our debt. All right. We've given them our land. We've given them our, they sold off our bodies in the sense that every dime we were making, they're getting portions of that split to every corner of the earth. Social security number and all that kind of stuff. This monetary system that we're upholding to, But because China and these other countries got our debt, now they got to bring us to World War III, because the only way they think they're going to be able to reset the debt and reset their obligations is by waging war. If you look at the Middle East, okay, you don't have to be a genius. You don't have to be a doctor to understand that who the America is going to hit next. All you got to do is look at what little Arabian country is saying that they're not going to accept the dollar anymore. They're going to go back into trading with diamonds and trading with gold and trading with silver and trading with the kind of commodity type of stuff that's actually going to be worth something. And then all of a sudden, you got here comes the mainstream media bringing up a drumbeat saying about, weapons of mass destruction, saying about chemical weapons being used in their own people, even though proof's starting to come out every single day that the people who actually would use those things have been given them by the American government in order to destabilize the region, in order to make the case that we need to go to war with them. When in reality, the whole reason we're even in there is because these little countries who have all this oil don't want to sell it in dollars anymore. So we're not. So the imperialistic Edomite of America ain't getting its cut. Now, before, pray the Lord, I have a whole bunch of white people that start screaming that, they're not getting no cut out of this. Yeah, well, I know you're not getting the major part of the cut because that's the rich, powerful elite. And you guys are on economic slavery too because, your money is paper. It's toilet paper now. But World War III is coming down the pike so that they can go ahead and reset their debt by destroying these other countries. Now again, we know who they're going to attack in the Middle East, because any country in the Middle East that goes from using the dollar and demands oil, gold, silver, diamonds instead of paper. The media retches up a drumbeat. The government puts in money to fund opposition forces within their own country, destabilize the country, divide and conquer, and then they come in with their guns and their planes and their whatever to bomb the hell out of them. And then once we're done defeating them, the country I'm talking about, then they put up a puppet government. And now they're getting the oil back in dollars again. Now everybody wants the dollar again. That's not a surprise. You don't have to be a fortune teller to see that coming. All right, but here's the problem. Here's where World War III happens. China is making trade deals with everybody they can get their hands on except for America. They're going around the globe making trade, deals, and the basis of these trade deals is gold, silver, commodities that they actually even care about. Dollar ain't included. All right, you got China, you got Russia, you got this Putin. He ain't interested in the dollar as far as he's concerned, probably. The fiat dollar system really made well for America, and now the dollar's on its way out. Him and the Chinese government, they would love to be the next fiat system, the next default system for the world's currency, because they see it as an opportunity to have that American-type money, that American-type power that's already on the wane now. They want to be the next system. It ain't going to be America, because America don't have gold to back up their dollar. That's the reason why the dollar's crashing now. I already covered that in the first one, but nonetheless. World War III is going to be because, China, these other superpowers, they're beginning to do what those little nations did, and that is reject the dollar. Now, see, if we couldn't talk to the little nations, and we couldn't make new treaties with the little nations, how are we going to be able to make treaties and talk to the superpowers, these other bigger nations, when they already know what's going on? And they're preparing for it. They're buying new aircraft that can match America's aircraft, in that air game, that air superior, and go against the air superiority. They're buying surface to air missile systems that can match, our air superiority that we had in World War II. It's going to be a different fight when World War III comes. And the only reason why the elite want World War III is because they want to be able to still control the military system of the world, which is crumbling. And they know that when you sitting out there right now at home listening to this cast, when listening to me speak, they know that when you find out for fact the stuff that I'm telling you about, you're going to riot as well you should. You're going to have unrest as well you should. So all these other stages, all these other calamities, fall of the dollar, the militarization of the police force, and now World War III is made to maintain control, not freedom. They say America stands for, freedom, democracy. What a crock of lies. While they're all the way on the other side of the world, toppling sovereign governments, assassinating dictators, destroying the lives of brown people all around the world, in this fiat wars that they're fighting, all because of greed. Wars that no one of us asks for, that none of us support. Who would? Because when we fight China and we fight Russia, it's not going to be some skirmish. It's going to be a nuclear war. It's kind of like back in high school when they used to fight and one person just get his butt whooped, and that's fine. But then later on, people start bringing knives, and then later on, people start bringing guns, and no one brings a gun to a fight and don't plan on using it. No one wants to be beat up anymore. None of these superpowers are going to just get beat up by the America without using the weapon that's in their pocket, that nuclear warhead. America got nukes, they got nukes, and there you go. World War III, the nuclear war. They've already been turning this world into a cesspool with Fukushima's, nuclear waste blowing up. Japan got bombed the first time, and now they bombed themselves, trying to develop newer and newer and different types of nuclear weapons, while not securing their site for different types of calamities like water and earthquake and so forth. And that same nuclear spew is now reverberating all around the whole planet. But you don't hear that in the news. Or at least the part that you may hear is all watered down. And they say, well, it's just contained to where Fukushima is. Well, yeah, right. It's the Atlantic Ocean. It's these oceans, and all of a sudden it's global. It evaporates, goes into the air, and it gets carried on the wind, and all of a sudden it's global. It seeps into the ground and gets absorbed by the plant life and the food chain, and now it's global. You might just have a little. If you're sitting there eating crab while you're listening to this cast, you might just have a little Fukushima in you too. So there it is, the truth. The same reason why that Edomite gentleman wanted to have an attitude. He wanted to say, well, everybody in America is the same. Why are you talking about the white man? Why are you talking about America? Well, let me tell you. Praise the Lord. The truth. My people were brought here in chains. In the year 1619 was the first black Hebrews brought on slave ships. We've been slaves and in bondage in this country for almost 400 years, as prophesied in the book of Deuteronomy 28 of the Bible. We have every reason, in the knowledge of who we are and where we come from, to say the truth and to not be beholden to our ex-slave masters, to where they can bond our hands, they can shoot our children in the street. Oh, did you think we forgot about Trayvon? And get off and have no justice towards us, but yet they expect on the world stage for us to shut our mouth, put on a fake smile, and say and sing Kumbaya on how wonderful the world is. I've outlined 3 things that's going to affect every man, woman, and child here in America. But my day is still wonderful. And praise the Lord, if you're a Hebrew, if you're a descendant of the transatlantic slave trade, if you're a black, Hispanic, or Native American, the 12 tribes of Israel, and you know who you are and where you come from, and you follow God's laws, statutes, and commandments, then you should be smiling too. Because when God said, look up, your redemption is nigh, he means it. You bet your bottom he does. And who's that person waiting to be redeemed? You think it's a slave master who made millions and billions of dollars off of our slave labor, off of the economic slave labor of today, off of the mental slave labor they got today, where our people are still beholden to this Edomite, still worshiping at the feet of the very people that put us in chains, still worshiping at the feet of the very same people that stolen from us continually, who killed our children, raped our women. This is what happened in slavery, I'm telling you, for any of those who don't quite understand what I'm talking about. You see, if you ask a black man where he comes from, they don't know. Or maybe they'll tell you, well, maybe they can tell you, slavery. Slavery isn't the beginning of our history, my brothers and sisters. Slavery is just the beginning of our captivity here in America. But funny thing is, even though that's all they cling to, most people don't even really know what happened in slavery. If they did know, if they had the truth, they wouldn't be walking down shoulder and shoulder with the very same people that not only put them in chains, keep them in chains to this very day through the judicial system, which we all know is a crock. 80 to 90% of the jails is black and Latinos, the very Israelites that we're trying to wake up. And yet there's still people in the streets trying to argue and debate. These things are undebatable. The dollar's going to crash, that's imminent. You can debate that all you want to until your bank no longer lets you in those doors because the government has seized all your funds. Militarized police is undebatable. You can debate that all you want until the police who've been armed with billions and millions of bullets for every woman, man, and child puts the gun to the back of your skull and ends that debate. That's undebatable. That's the truth. I didn't just make that up. World War III, undebatable. We fought wars, dirty wars, all around this world because countries have been refusing to use our currency. Now China is doing just that, and Russia is doing just that, and some of these other major countries are doing just that. So war is imminent. We can't debate with them. So there are 3 coming calamities in the next few months, the next few years to America. I've already outlined the 3. I've said my piece. Pray be Lord, and they're undebatable. Now, it's your move. This is Pastor Lucifer Lambew of Lampshades Ministries, signing off and wishing you a wonderful day, and I hope you had a wonderful Passover like I had. Shalom. Jesus will come again.
Jesus shall return again. What will you say to him on that glorious day to him? Jesus, no man knows the hour or the day or the minute, but he's coming.
One day, Jesus
is coming.
Shall come again.
He shall come again, I tell you. What shall you say? What will you be doing, brothers and sisters, on that glorious day? Holy. He's coming. No one knows the day, but he's coming.
Jesus, I love you forever and forever. I shall follow you until the end of time. With this ring I offer you my love. You shall be my Lord and shall have my love. And no matter what, I shall remain by your side. For as it was, it shall be again in the garden that when you walk with man, I shall serve you, Lord, and I will love